Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the Engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live, headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay, every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Art Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.
Welcome to Wired to Hunt's Rut Fresh Radio, bringing you the latest reports from the Whitetail Woods. And now, your hosts, Casey Smith and Tyler Jones.
This is Rut Fresh Radio, powered by Vortex Optics. I'm your host, Casey Smith, and one of the most anticipated weeks of the year is here. We talked to hunters this week across the country who are doing their best to deal with the hot weather and still get on big bucks.
Welcome to the Rut Fresh Radio podcast, brought to you by Vortex Optics. On the phone right now, I've got the one and only Mark Kenyon. We have not been able to spend much time with him lately. As you can imagine, we've all been in different directions. And I've got sitting here on the couch with me, KC Smith. We are just chilling and fixing to go out again on the road. Mark, you're out somewhere in middle of nowhere is what I hear.
Yeah, buddy. I am in parts unknown Nebraska.
All right. Unknown to who?
Excited. Yep. Unknown destination.
Isn't it
Nebraska.
the Howard Stern movie from back in the 90s? Isn't that what that was called? Parts Unknown or something like that?
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
It might be something. No, it's Private Parts.
Private Parts. That's right.
But yeah, guys, I'm about to kick off my rutcation here, and we're filming season 2 of 1 Week in November. So I'm excited about that. We just got here like hour ago, something like that. So we're just kind of unpacking, organizing our gear. We're going to get out and do some scouting this evening and then start hunting tomorrow.
Does it look deery right now, Mark?
Yes. Yeah. It's like, it's what Nebraska's like. There's a lot of places that don't look deery, like at least whitetail-y, right? I'm in an area where there's a lot of open country where you're thinking, oh man, there's muleys here, but I don't know about whitetails. But as soon as you find these little patches of cover, these little hidey holes, these little rivers and creeks and stuff like that, you're into some good whitetail stuff. So that's what I'll be hunting here. But I got to tell you guys something real quick.
Okay.
Before you ask me anything else. I haven't been on Rut Fresh in a while because you guys have been traveling all over the world and doing all this stuff, and I just want to publicly say it feels great that my baby has been in good hands. You guys have been doing a good job. I've been listening every week, like that parent who's like got their ear to the door and listen to what the kids are doing in the room next door. You know, that's what I've been doing. And you guys haven't been breaking anything. You haven't been fighting. You haven't been doing anything too bad. So parental approval is here.
Are you sure you listened last week?
The next Wisconsin guy that comes up behind me in a dark camp will for sure cause a fight, though. So let's not let that happen.
No, guys, it's been fun. I'm enjoying what you guys are doing, and I'm glad to be back, though. Glad to be back on here and get to chat with you guys before all sorts of exciting stuff breaks loose. Because guess what? I don't know if you guys realized it, but it is November. When this podcast drops, right? It's sweet November today.
Oh man,
it's
the best time of year, man.
Yes, it is.
It's like, they wrote that song, "The Most Wonderful Time of the Year." They wrote about Christmas, but they They should have written it about the first 2 weeks of November for sure.
For sure.
And if only I knew a musician who also loved to deer hunt who might be able to write a song like that. Do we know anyone like that?
I'm blanking, man. I'm blanking on it.
Who also has recording equipment at the house, right? So we should be.
Come on.
Listen, I'm an ex-musician. Okay, I don't get to play guitar anymore.
Write us the most wonderful time of the year Rut edition.
Oh,
please.
dude. I've thought about this actually. Thought about making a music catalog for deer hunting shows on the outdoor networks, on TV, because I could do it easy, dude. And it would be, you just got to write corny songs about trucks, just like country music, but you got to put a little bit of some deer, anecdotes and references in there. So it's easy, man. I think Bone Collector did at one point, and I think I could do the same thing.
They did.
Yeah,
they did.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like I think something we should release on the Wired to Hunt platforms for sure.
For sure, yeah.
You know what? You catch me on the right day, I might say yes. So, in all seriousness, Bone Collector did release an album like that, right?
Yeah.
It's called the Bone Collector Brotherhood or something like that.
Yeah.
And I have it downloaded back when it came out 10 years ago. I downloaded it, and
did you pirate it or did you?
No, I legitimately downloaded it.
Napster.
And so this is on top of my mind though right now because my 2-year-old and 4-year-old boys are like all ate up with anything hunting, and so they wanted to hear some hunting music. So I put on like the 30 Point Buck and I put on Fredbear, and then I pulled up that one, and there's a song on that album called Buck Fever, and it's a good old, jam about buck fever and stuff, and my kids love it. But my son, for some reason, thinks it's called deer sick. So instead of buck fever, he calls it deer sick.
Deer sick.
So from now on, if I ever miss a deer or get too jittery, I'll be like, "Oh man, guys, I got some deer sick."
Deer sickness, man.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, down with the sickness.
Yeah, that's it, dude. It's rock band. We have another musician on the staff now. I don't know if you know that or not, but Greg, the guy I've been running around with, he was a touring musician in kind of the I don't know what you call his genre, but definitely rocking out real hard, And he's also one of the guys.
It's like hard progressive.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's going to be hunting with us down in Texas when you come down with us, and him and I have been scheming on how to get you on a buck, man. So
I'm excited.
Yeah, we're pretty excited too.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Supposedly deer sightings are going to be good, and so pretty much from here until then, we just see deer every day, dude. Can you believe it?
But the thing is, Mark,
Sign me up.
you're gonna think, man, why are these guys seeing so many deer and I'm not seeing anything but goats? That's what you're gonna think because they're gonna be about half the size of Michigan
down here, dude. Your buddy Josh just sent us some trail camera pictures of I think they're moose, but they have whitetail antlers and whitetails. From
in Kansas?
No, in Michigan. I just can't believe the size of the animals up there, man. It's so cool to travel the country and just see the discrepancies, in whitetail, but then they're all, especially in Mark's book, they're all just whitetail.
That's right. So, they're just deer.
Yeah.
I mean, mule deer are just deer too. Right. They're all grouped. So
when you guys make these lumpers and splitters jokes, do you think anybody knows what in the world you're talking about?
No, but it's okay. Inside jokes are the best jokes.
They are. We do this for us, Mark, not for the listener.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So what the heck are we talking about today?
We are talking about hunting bucks in the rut, man. That's what's going down right now. Everybody is hyped. We've had a lot of people just go wild about the numbers that they want to give for what kind of week it's going to be, and I understand, right? Because hyping is fun. Yeah. I know that you're probably participating in some of it. We're doing quite a bit of it right now. Honestly, I think a lot of us are in the mode of the buck who's been chasing like crazy and had to stop and take a break for a couple hours and then just get right back after it. That's kind of how I feel, at least.
Have you heard much? I don't know how many guys you've gotten to talk to yet so far, but have folks been talking about this forecast though that we've got for a lot of the country? Because at least up in the Midwest, in my neck of the woods, in Michigan, Ohio, even here in Nebraska, it's really hot this early part of November. And I'm always, bummed out when I see that because that's not ideal. But then I got to remind myself it's still the rut. They're still doing the thing. You don't need to get too crushed about it. But is that something that is a theme this week?
Definitely.
Yes. In fact, we talked to your good friend, Josh, with First Light up in Michigan. He is actually mentioned that quite a bit. We talked to Michael Hunsucker in Colorado. He's talked about the weather a little bit as well. Clay Newcomb, who you are about to be doing some texting with for the next week, for 1 week, I'd imagine. We talked to him about Arkansas, and then we talked to Chris B about Ohio. And weather is a big factor in all that, because it's like this. I'm going to use one of your favorite words here. Where it's a balancing thing of
stop.
Like it's the first week in November, so they're going to do the thing, but it's not ideal weather. So what does that look like? And there's some really interesting theories in there of just how guys hunt around the weather. Because say it's late October, you can just say, "Oh, it's not worth it." But right now, it's worth it. Like, no matter what the temperature is, what the weather is, it's worth being in the stand, which is exciting, right? But there's certain ways to manipulate that to your favor. And I would be interested in Mark Kenyon's first impulse when it comes to maybe a hot weather situation in early November.
It's mostly sticking to the normal plan, right? I mean, mornings especially are going to be just as good as any other time, Mostly, that's the coolest part of the day. You're going to have a longer stretch of time that's going to be cool and comfortable. So those bucks are going to be cruising. They're going to be chasing, rutting, whatever they would have been doing. They should still be doing in the morning. So I'm hunting the same kinds of spots in the morning. I think the biggest place that the hot weather impacts my rut hunts is that midday kind of action. Because, when you've got like a 20 or 30 degree super cold day, I can hunt in a bedding area and feel pretty confident there's going to be bucks cruising through that, late morning, midday, early afternoon. When it's 75 on November 3rd or 4th, I'm going to have much, much lower expectations for that kind of thing to happen. So, I might feel honestly a little bit less bad about taking a midday off and getting some lunch or doing something creative midday, like,
I never feel bad about that, Mark. It is cookie time, sir.
Take advantage of those middays if you're not going to sit all day because there's not much moving at noon. Maybe then you do some more scouting and walk around and check out stuff. Or, one of the things I'm going to do here in open country is I'm not going to necessarily sit at noon or 1 o'clock, but I'm going to get out of the tree and I'm going to go drive around and walk around and glass some of this open country and see if I can't get eyes on a buck with a doe. Better with a doe, lock down a doe, do that kind of thing, and see if I can't, get lucky and spot something and make a move on it.
Yeah.
So that's the way I'm going to try to take advantage of those hours that might be slower because of the temperatures. And then in the evening, I think, you're going to see on average, that action is going to be closer to dark than maybe it would be on a nice cold day in November, but it's still going to happen. So I would say my biggest takeaway for the hot rut time period is stay the course, keep the faith. It's still possible. They're still rutting. If you've got some water sources, like some little water holes, ponds back in the cover, that kind of thing can be particularly good on these hotter days. I know those things can be pretty good even on normal weather days, let alone a hot day during the rut. So if you've got that, that's one other thing to think about adding to your stand setup kind of rotation. But that's my quick 2 cents.
Cool, man.
Man,
I like it.
You have a plan, dude. You ready to put this thing together?
Oh, I've been chomping at the bit, man, for a while. So I'm ready to make it happen. I'm ready to just dive into November full force and see what happens.
Yeah,
it's $5.
Listen, I know KC, is pretty teasy with his pictures, but I don't need any. I don't have time for any of that. So when you shoot a buck in Nebraska, just straight up send me the hero shot. That's all I want.
Well. I absolutely owe KC back though. So like KC, then I'm not gonna be able to send it to the group chat. I'm gonna send like direct to you, and then to KC. Like I'm gonna send him a foot. I'm gonna send him a tail. I'm gonna send him like a haunch. And because not only has it been like one of those, but you guys have killed like 19 deer this year. You've done that on every single one of the deer. So I've got a lot of payback.
That's true. That's true. You should definitely send that to his way first. That way, I don't have to. I don't want him to be sitting in the truck with me and me be like, "Oh, Mark killed a buck," and then he's going to make me show him. So, go to him first for sure. So,
yeah, man, it's an amazing time. I'm super excited. I'm excited for you guys and for everyone listening. This is these are some of the best episodes of Rut Fresh every year because stuff changes so fast this time of year too. Everyone's excited. Everyone's just hoping to hear that little bit of good news. So I'm amped to get into it. I'll be listening here.
Yeah, cool, dude. Well, I hope that things go well for you out there in Nebraska. And like I said, send us pics whenever you get it done, man. And we'll get to the interviews now.
Sounds good.
All right, now on the phone is Chris B., everybody's favorite YouTuber, at least mine. What's going on, Chris?
Well, I pay you to say that.
Yeah, yep. It's the first time I've been paid doing any kind of hunting stuff,
We'll
so it's good.
No, it's good, man. Just traveling around, shooting bucks, trying to at least.
Yeah, dude, you've been shooting them lately, a couple different states. Recently, actually, we just found out, like today pretty much, that you shot a deer in Ohio, and he looks like a toad. Is he a toad?
Yeah, he's really nice. He's goofy.
Yeah.
I really don't even know how he's, score wise. Not that I really care, but he's just so goofy.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's cool.
He's big, dude. So what kind of tactics were you using to get close to this buck?
So there's these rare yellow acorns that drop, in these really weird piles.
Yep.
No, but my tactics really went back to I picked up this new piece of property like during season, end of September, and it was just like time to get intel. So I in Ohio, obviously you can bait, and it can be for you. Sometimes it can be against you. Like it definitely hurt me earlier in the week hunting because it just kept getting busted and stuff. But got some intel, and this buck showed up and kind of hung around, but he daylighted for the first time 3 days ago. So I actually jumped in the truck, drove all night, hunted that morning, that night, didn't see him. Hunted yesterday, morning and night, didn't see him. And I think my access was bad. So there was like some clear cuts and weird stuff going on. And I was kind of bombing through it on my e-bike and thinking that I could just like rip through it and it'll be different than walking and they won't really scare. But I like totally flipped my whole perspective over, access from a completely different area, but still hunting roughly the same spot. And yeah, man, he came in like right at first light this morning. And I think I was 10 minutes past legal time. Like I was like checking my phone, and being like, okay, we're like, I'm good. There we go. And it was good, man. He shot him, found him about an hour later, and it was just kind of textbook how it all happened.
That's awesome, dude. Congrats on that, by the way. I've always appreciated your just candidness with the baiting thing, because a lot of people think it's taboo, and people from states that don't do that don't. They have their opinions about it. But as you know, we're from Texas, and we are pro bait, and pro whatever however you want to do it, man. It's deer hunting. Yeah. It's fun if it's legal, So but that's awesome.
It always seems like that. Like what you said, it's like Kentucky, Ohio. Everyone's 100% for it. But as soon as it's like a guy born and raised in
Michigan,
Iowa, or Michigan, even it's just like. They just put people down about it, and I'm just not about that.
Sure. Yep.
Man, that's a really good way to get on deer, particularly in a place that can be difficult otherwise. Whether that's like the weather that's going on or the access or what have you, you can make deer move in ways that maybe they wouldn't if you're just hunting travel routes and stuff. And I know, like with the upcoming weather for the first week of November, everybody is really concerned. How do you feel like that this hot streak we're going to have the first week in November is going to translate into the deer hunting woods?
So that's kind of why I live in Iowa, and that's kind of why I left, because the weather wasn't great there, and I left and came to Ohio to kind of wait out the weather back home. But I'm taking these days to kind of get some more cameras out, maybe hang a couple more stands, and still like utilizing those days and still hunting, but really not getting my hopes up too much. But it's November now, dude. Like it's just anything can happen. And it's just you gotta use those warm windy days in your advantage to maybe reset or get more intel, and just don't get down about it, because I think on like the 5th it's gonna like freaking turn right back on, and it's gonna be hot. So
so you're gonna hunt just guessing here, you're going to be sitting in funnels in Iowa on the 5th.
Yeah, just, pinches and just everything rut related, man. It's just game on. So a lot of bebopping around and trying trying to make it happen, rattling, and just, dude, it's just everything next week.
Yeah, it's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
excited, man.
If
Me
you
too.
were a guy who had like semi-flexible schedule and you're trying to decide if you're going to take your long weekend here, say November 1 through 7, or if you're going to wait later and hope that a front room moves in, would you rather push it and try to make it happen in the first week, or wait and see next week?
I for sure would push it. If I had 1 week, I'd wait till like 7 through 15, somewhere in that window.
Mm-hmm. I like
These first few days, you know, and they start getting in lockdown, like getting those local does bred. And I mean, first few days are good. And then as soon as they get on that lockdown and chill out, it's not until, you know, the 9 through 15 when they really start popping back up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Those are good dates, man. Well, I appreciate you. Congrats on that big buck, dude. And
Thanks.
Hopefully we'll be able to check back with you sometime this season to see how things are going. First, before we get out of here, though, I want you to give me a 1 to 10 rating on buck movement, your predicted buck movement in the next week.
Beginning of the week, like a 3. End of the week is going to be 10.
Oh, yes.
Man,
Yes.
alive.
I bet it's going to be good, man.
All right, dude.
The 5th, I'm telling you.
The 5th. That's
It's going
the
to
day.
be hot. Yeah.
Remember the 5th of November.
That's right.
Yep.
I've killed on the 4th. A couple of deer on the 4th, I think. So, yeah, it's good dates in there, man. All right, well, best of luck this year, dude.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it, guys.
We're on the phone with one and only Clay Newcomb. He's been doing a little hunting up in Arkansas, I do believe. Clay, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. And yeah, you're right. I've been in Arkansas. I'm going to Oklahoma today, actually.
Oh, hot
Headed to
dog,
Oklahoma.
dude. We actually were just talking about a little bit of that, too. We're trying to decide where to head because it's such a good time of year. Things are ripe for the picking. But we do want to talk about what's going down in Arkansas. What have you been seeing up there in the hills, man?
Yeah, so this week I hunted, I think, 3 mornings and afternoons, and I saw bucks. Let's see, 4 of 6 sits. I saw bucks cruising, just moving through with their heads down. And I saw a buck that was a good buck. I mean, a 3.5-year-old plus type buck that was chasing does at 3:00 in the afternoon when I was walking into a stand.
Golly.
So I mean, I would say that it's the last week of October here in the Ozarks is really good, man.
It sounds
the
like
bucks.
it, man.
Yeah, it is. And that being said, I've also got cameras on some feed, and that's always real interesting because you start losing pictures of bucks when they start roaming. You know, they're kind of like they're on a feed pattern, and then when you quit getting pictures of deer on your feed, usually that means they're really cruising. And that happened really last week.
Yeah. So I have some friends that hunt up in the Arkansas area, stuff kind of south of you, though. But for them, bears are an issue when it comes to, deer feed, and they mess up their situations up there. But, for a guy like you, that might be a dual-purpose feed situation. Is that how you treat it, or do you have problems with bears?
Man, where I'm deer hunting, we don't really have many bears at all.
Really? How about that?
Yeah.
It's because you took care of them already, didn't you?
Well, my situation where I'm doing most of my deer hunting is really kind of like suburban hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, a lot of what I'm doing up here where I live.
That's neat.
Now I go to, and there's just not bears right here, but I do quite a bit of hunting on big public land, and there's definitely bears there, but you can't hunt over feed.
Mm-hmm.
So on the private land parcels where there's small parcels, which is what I'm hunting a lot of, I mean, it's hard to be successful without being in the feed game when everybody's got feed out, So it's kind of a necessary evil in some ways if you want to play.
Sure. Yeah. So when the bucks kind of, get to roaming like this, what are you focused on? Do you still stay on the feed and just hope there's enough does around, or what are there other attributes or different kind of landscape
no.
features?
No, I'm not hunting the feed as much as I am just natural pinch points and funnels.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's just places over the years where in the Ozarks, you're just using topography that's funneling deer, back edges of fields with hollows that come up. I mean, there's just every little spot that I do hunt like that. That's just a funnel transition area, travel area. Each has its own little unique reason why they're coming through there, and really some of those places too, you would never I wouldn't pick them out on X and think, man, that is going to be a good travel area. But just having hunted places for a long time,
yeah,
you're just like, that's where they're going to be.
Sure.
And it's sometimes not as distinct as we'd like to hope that a travel area would be.
Right. So with that, like, are there native food sources that you look at in the next week or so that are going to be really a good thing for, keeping does around when you're looking at funnels between maybe bedding or feeding areas for does?
Man, it's all about the acorns right now for us and probably for almost everybody in the eastern deciduous forest. The white oaks are going to be starting to tail out about right now, even though there are white oaks on the ground that are good. But if there's red oaks that have made, the red oaks seem to hold a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, acorns are big, man.
Cool.
And we've got acorns pretty widespread this year. Feels to me like, at least where I'm hunting.
It seems to be
pretty
that
widespread.
way. We were up in Illinois, and it was the same thing going on up there, man. Just lots of acorns on the ground. So if you were going to focus on one tactic for the next week, man, what's it going to be?
Just funnels, just places where you're going to see deer movement, does, and then if you can grunt them in this time of year too,
Yep.
So
if
you're in a funnel that's a little wider, and some of the places I hunt, it feels like within about 70 yards where they're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And but this time of year that works pretty good because if you can see them, they're around. Sometimes you can grunt them in.
Yep. So if you were going to rank deer movement for this first week in November, buck movement in particular, from a scale of 1 to 10 in Arkansas, what you going to call it?
In Northwest Arkansas, it's as good as it gets the first week.
Ooh.
But the temperatures are going to be 73 degrees. So that's going to put a damper on it, but they're still going to be doing it. Just early and late is going to be good. Probably midday is going to be good too because I think sometimes when the daylight movement isn't real good, midday is good because they've been bedded since earlier in the day.
They get antsy.
Like if it was real cold. If it's real cold, they might be really moving till 10 o'clock, just kind of on their natural pattern. But if it's warm and they've got a belly full of food and the does aren't moving much, they might bed down closer to daylight and then get up in the middle of the day. So man, hunting all day is good too, even when it's hot.
Yeah. So all right, scale of 1 to 10, what is it?
10, man.
10. Yeah. Gummit. I didn't know if you could get perfect. Golly, 10 out of 10.
I mean, I'm not saying. Now, hold on, Casey. Are we talking about with the specifics of the weather, or just in general the first 7 days of November?
Man,
in
whichever
Arkansas?
answer is the most optimistic. I want to go with it, man. It's 1st of November.
It is going to be a 10.
Let's
this week.
go.
No doubt.
Man, my man Clay Newcomb. Thanks for the report from Arkansas, dude.
You bet.
Hey guys, turkey season is in full swing right now, and if you are planning on getting after it, make sure to pick up some Meat Eater Phelps turkey calls to stuff into the old turkey vest or into your fanny pack right now. I carry a few different things. I like to use mouth calls, and I like to use pot calls. Mouth calls or diaphragms, I like them because it gives you hand-free calling, meaning when you're working a bird up close, you can have your gun on your knee, finger on the trigger, ready to roll, and still be making turkey sounds. I like pot calls because I just like pot calls. I enjoy calling with a pot call. Whatever direction you go, including a box call, which I don't personally use too much, but they're fun and great, and I started out with them. Yanni, on the other hand, one of my main turkey hunting buddies, he loves box calls. And what's funny is I'll now and then look to him and give him the look that means get out your box call and find us a turkey. So it's not that I don't like him. I just have Yanni use his. Then I don't have to carry it. Go to Phelps Game Calls. Get calls that are made in the USA and get calls that'll get them close. Find yours at phelpsgamecalls.com today.
All right, now on the phone, I've got Michael Hunsucker from Heartland Bowhunter. We recently talked to you, but you're in a different state here that not many people hunt for whitetails. This is Colorado you've been in recently, right? And you had some success there.
Yeah, man, we had a picture perfect trip. You couldn't draw it up any better, to be honest. Man,
it's awesome. That's that buck looks awesome. He's so heavy, dude, and just I love when this is one of the immeasurables, but like when a deer has tines that are thick and heavy, you know, like you can't measure that, but it shows for sure when you look at a buck. And that's one of those bucks like that, man.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, a deer of a lifetime, just unbelievable character, and the whole story behind it really is what makes it even more special.
Yeah. So, what kind of patterns were you hunting while you're out there?
So when we got there, you know, I usually get there and I'll run cameras and check, kind of see what's been going on. And it's kind of a river system. And so there's a lot of natural pinch points. And so that's where the cameras kind of are all in natural pinch points. You know, fence crossings, gate gaps, levee crossings, just stuff that kind of funnels them down, more so than they already are, you know, being on the river channel. And so a big thing for me was right when I got there was to start shifting some of those to scrapes, because I realized, you know, right when I got there, I mean, scrapes were just blowing up everywhere. It seemed like the bucks were starting to, you know, lay down scrapes, check those scrapes, and just kind of get antsy for the rut to come.
Yeah. So were big deer using those scrapes?
Yeah, absolutely. They once we did find some of these scrapes, I put a camera on one of them, and there was probably, I don't know, 5-6 bucks using it, and 2 or 3 mature deer using the same scrape. So a little bit of territorialness going on there, or whatever you want to call it. Technically, they're not territorial, I guess, over scrapes, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, sure.
those communal scrapes get hot this time of year.
Yeah. So were they? Did you actually shoot your buck over a scrape?
Yeah, one he just made after I called him in.
Oh my goodness.
Oh gosh, dude.
So I know that's a big part of what y'all do in general is the calling thing, right? Is it, did you have to kind of adjust that some because of it being late October when you're out there? Or is it the normal, you know, just see a buck and get him to hear you?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a huge fan of calling in certain areas, Colorado, Eastern Colorado, Western Kansas. They hunt kind of similar, and, you know, really good, really competitive rut situations where they got great buck to doe ratios and good age structure naturally. So it just makes for a great time, you know, for calling and grunting. But yeah, so it was like, you know, we're hunting that basically last, you know, 10 days or so of October. And it's kind of one of those deals. I think we got there like the 18th or something like that. So really, you know, the 3rd week of October, really. And so it could be, you know, little early for a ton of pre-rut, you know, activity. But so I'm not blind calling by any means, but definitely had the rattling antlers packed and definitely had a grunt tube with me. And it's what killed my deer. You know, I seen them just kind of creeping through. We basically hunted this basically known bedding thicket area that we thought, okay, you know, a lot of deer bed here. Bucks are going to be cruising through here, kind of checking for does, and we were able to sneak in to that spot, you know, early in the morning and catch them kind of coming back in there. And actually, that deer was literally the first deer we saw. It was first thing in the morning, and he was actually heading away from us. And so, had I not grunted, got his attention, and he was interested in come check it out. He actually probably 100 yards away, walking kind of, you know, catty corner away from us, and I hit the grunt tube. He picked his head up, looked our way, and it started stiff leg walking right to us. He got about halfway, and he held up in the trees, and he was kind of out of sight from us. And I'm watching him, and I'm looking for him, listening for him. I'm like, what the heck? I don't hear him. I don't see him. Did he slip out on us? What happened? I was like, I'm gonna hit him again with the grunt tube. So really soft, just a couple grunts, and boom, here he came. And so he came beeline right to us, and it was one of those mornings super calm, and so you hate to call too loud or overcall because, I mean, he literally pinpointed exactly where that grunt was. Luckily, it's super that area is super thick. And so there would, there would be a situation where, he could hear the grunt but not see the deer. So,
yeah. Dude, that's insane. So if you were going to be up there again this week, would you be using similar tactics, or would you hunt different spots? Would you use different tactics in your calling, or, what do you think that you would use?
Yeah, pretty similar tactics, maybe a little more aggressive. I mean, it's getting to the point to where I running cameras, noticing the deer starting to break some tines. And actually, so after I shot my buck, one of the biggest deer, the one you were talking about, the giant with the double drop tines, we had really, obviously, he had been super regular all year. And my buddy Tony, he actually had some history with this deer, so he had shot him last year. So I kind of stayed clear of that deer going into the hunt. But it was awesome because I was able to kill my buck, the third day of our hunt, and then he was coming in like the fourth day or fifth day, and so I got to hunt with him the next few days, and we actually decoyed that buck in with a decoy. And so it's just going to be that time, man. We had seen him. We hunted the night before, and Brandon was scouting, and Brandon laid eyes on him. And he came out and like bumped some does, made a scrape. He ended up meeting up with a little spike buck and kind of got aggressive towards him, and then the spike buck obviously backed down, and then they were kind of just being buddies. But it was just like, I told Brandon, I was like, we're going to sit there where you saw him last night. We're going to sit there with the decoy, and mainly because he was coming out into an alfalfa field, and it's just a big field, and so the odds of him like walking right past us, I was like, I don't really like our odds. It was our last night going to be there. And so we deployed the decoy, and it didn't work textbook to the decoy, what the decoy situation would normally work, but it worked. So
dude,
that's
so cool.
Awesome. So if you were gonna put a number on it on a scale from 1 to 10 for Eastern Colorado for the first week of November coming up here, what's the buck movement going to be like?
Man, I honestly haven't looked at the weather, but I'm going to give it an 8 right now. And I want to give it a 0 because I'm a bow hunter, and it's rifle season. I can't hunt, but
oh, that's hilarious. All right, if you got a tag for rifle out there, it's a 0. My Gunsucker said there's no reason to go. It's hilarious, man. Yeah, it's a great time of the year. We're all excited about it. Mike, thanks for the great information, dude.
Yeah, you bet.
We have got Josh Hilliard with First Light on the phone right now. He has been hunting in Michigan. Josh, what's been going on, dude?
Well, hey guys, thanks for having me on first. Man, it has been it's been slow going for me here in Michigan. Last week or so, hunted a few times end of last week, and finally started to see some young bucks starting to cruise and moving. A little later into the morning. But other than that, man, it's been real slow for me.
Really?
Here in Michigan so far. Yeah.
Man, that's I can sympathize with you. We had some slow hunts here in late October too, and I think that's the way it goes. But traditionally, do you see good movement in late October in Michigan?
I think it's pretty. I think it just kind of depends on where you're at. Like I've seen some good movement in late October on this little piece that I hunt. And it's also been slow like this as well. So I think it's all just kind of dependent on if you get a doe that comes in to ask just a little early and can really kind of get them picked up. But with that being said, I've actually had a couple of different mature bucks move into my little lease here in the last like 2 days. Mm-hmm. So that's a positive. I'm just kind of buying my time to get out, just with family stuff going. I haven't been able to get out the last 2 days, unfortunately. So tomorrow I start hitting it hard on some of these deer. So first couple shooters I've had in camera since like September 1st. So it's just been a brutal year for this little piece of property that I hunt. But there's usually a good one or two that stroll through here this time of year. So looks like it's starting to happen.
That season-long data is very helpful, I would imagine. And I bet that there's some benefit to Michigan being a high-pressure state from what we hear from everybody. I don't know. You all seem to kill a bunch of big bucks, so I feel like that's a lot of fluff because Mark killed a big one like the first weekend. But all things considered, you staying off the property because there's not a ton of shooters there early, I bet can benefit you later as November pushes on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's kind of been my game plan. I always tell myself every year, like, okay, I'm going to be aggressive, like early season. There's quite a few deer that get killed in that neighborhood, like early October. So every year I tell myself I'm going to do that. And then this year, of course, I'm gone on a trip first week of October. So I've really only hunted it a handful of times, just been pretty selective about when I'm going out there. It's a small piece, it's 40 acres, so it can get blown up pretty quickly, and a lot of hunting pressure around. So I've just tried to do my best to be patient and stay off it until I know, either a time frame like this time of year, with the rut kicking off, or if I've got one that's consistently showing up, kind of that late October, and then make a strike. But I just haven't had that, so I've tried to just be selective when I'm going out there.
Right. So in this next week, the first week in November here, what are you focusing on? Like, what tactics are you going to be using to try to get in front of bucks?
So I'm just trying to get between some bedding areas on this piece of property. I've got like a stand of like conifers that's like 10 acres, and it's some of the best bedding in the area. But there's a couple of other bedding areas on neighboring properties. And there's a couple of different travel corridors that these bucks traditionally use to get back and forth between these bedding areas. So I'm just trying to get on the downwind side of these bedding areas, pretty standard, rut tactics. Trying to get myself between these bedding areas where these bucks are going to be traveling. It's kind of a piece of property that has some good topography for like a southern Michigan piece. So it kind of dictates some of the travel. I've got a couple stands where a couple different ridges kind of converge and dump into a pretty heavily used travel corridor to get into this pine stand. I've had multiple opportunities at deer in that spot and a couple other spots too that are very similar. So they seem to be, from some of the data I've got with cameras out there right now, they seem to be hitting one side of these pines pretty heavily right now. So I was going to go this morning, but had a horrible wind for that location. So trying to be patient and get out there tomorrow and get after them when things kind of turn in my favor.
Mm-hmm. Smart man making smart moves. I like it, dude. So
we'll see how it plays
out. We like to say we'll see what happens. That's
do we?
Yeah. We actually have a rule where that costs you $5 if you say that. So way to go, Josh. You avoided that.
Yeah.
So looking forward, the first week of November, we all know is to be like, this is what we want to hunt, right?
Super Bowl.
Yeah, for real. The Super Bowl, the World Cup, whatever you want to call it, right? World Series, man. The Astros,
Series.
Go Astros.
What's the World Cup?
Is that the way you look at it too in Michigan? Where you're at?
Yeah. I think for sure, like these kind of first 2 weeks of November are just usually pretty darn good up here, and you're kind of running up against our rifle season starts November 15th, or firearm season starts November 15th. So you're kind of down to the wire here. If you're going to get it done with a bow, like now is the time. It's once those guns start cracking off here in Michigan, there's a lot of them out there in the woods come November 15th. So it just gets exponentially harder.
Gotcha.
So yeah, these first 2 weeks of November specifically, I really like the first week. Start to get a little later into November, you start to experience some of the lockdown, all that good stuff. So now is the time, and man, if you can get out in the woods, be in the woods right now.
Well, put a number on it between 1 and 10. What you expect buck movement to be like this week?
Man, I hope it's a 10, right? I don't think it will. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I don't like this time of year. I'm not as concerned about weather and temperatures, but man, we're supposed to be up into the 70s, like high 60s, low 70s by the weekend, which is, abnormally warm for up here this time of year. So, they're still going to be rutting. They're still going to be moving. I think that may impact a little bit of like daylight movement, what you're seeing, just with the temperatures. So I'm going to say like a 7.5.
All right.
Next week.
I like it. Still a passing grade. Sounds good, dude. I'm excited.
I used to shoot for that in college a lot, man. 7.5s.
Yeah, dude. That's good stuff. Josh, hope you run up on a big one out there, man. We appreciate the info.
Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys having me on.
It is time to make this a November to remember. Guys, the deal is the bucks are going to chase the does, and they're going to do the thing no matter what the weather, what the pressure, what's going on. So be excited, because we live for this time of year. It is the most exciting time of the year as a deer hunter. If you need some motivation or some inspiration of what you should be doing in the woods, or why you should get in the woods at all, you should check out episode 591 of the Wired to Hunt podcast. It's about patterning bucks during the rut. And then also, Tony Peterson has a cool article about 5 mistakes that hunters make during the rut. If you want to see some hot Texas pre-rut action, the Element went down to some good old river bottoms here in East Texas and actually tried to scratch one out. Got really close. You just need to watch the video and see what that's about. We'll put the links to that stuff in the description below. This is Rut Fresh. Keep it fresh.
Hey guys, turkey season is in full swing right now, and if you are planning on getting after it, make sure to pick up some Meat Eater Phelps turkey calls to stuff into the old turkey vest or into your fanny pack right now. I carry a few different things. I like to use mouth calls, and I like to use pot calls. Mouth calls or diaphragms, I like them because it gives you hand-free calling, meaning when you're working a bird up close, you can have your gun on your knee, finger on the trigger, ready to roll, and still be making turkey sounds. I like pot calls. I just like pot calls. I enjoy calling with a pot call. Whatever direction you go, including a box call, which I don't personally use too much, but they're fun and great, and I started out with them. Yanni, on the other hand, one of my main turkey hunting buddies, he loves box calls. And what's funny is I'll now and then look to him and give him the look that means get out your box call and find us a turkey. So it's not that I don't like them. I just have Yanni use his. Then I don't have to carry it. Go to Phelps Game Calls. Get calls that are made in the USA and get calls that'll get them close. Find yours at phelpsgamecalls.com today.